Presentations for today is down and out, at least for the moment. So what we thought we would do is go ahead and call this meeting to order, and it is 8:42 a.m. on August the 17th. We will start by having our chaplain prayer and pledges. So I believe Ralph Dawkins, Chaplain Dawkins, is going to be here today to lead us in prayer and pledges. So please come forward.
Good morning. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to invoke your word through prayer into this meeting. I pray that those who are in authority in the city, and I lift up the mayor, her staff and assistants, the city council members, the city manager, and every person and department that is instrumental in leading and directing our city. I pray that you would bless them to work together in unity today, to tackle the agenda, meetings on the agenda for today, and I pray that you'll keep division and hidden agendas from among them. I pray that you would lead them and guide them in godly wisdom and direction and instructions on how to lead, manage, and operate this city and all of its departments. I pray that you would give these servant leaders knowledge, wisdom, and courage to tackle and deal with the community and its families, the facilities, the businesses, and any other problems that may arise facing our city and its people. As the school session begins this week, we grant safety, security, and excellence for the teachers, administration, students, and their parents. And yes, Lord, it is true. It takes an entire village to support a child. Lord, we ask, just as you asked the prophet Ezekiel, that you would make these people watchmen over our city, that they would have godly watching and protection over every aspect of it. I pray for the chief of police, the police department, the sheriff's department, that they would continue to keep us safe and protected. I pray for the chief of the fire department and all of the first responders who serve our city. And lastly, Lord, I pray that you would bless the city with economic prosperity. May you grant and draw in and attract to our city industry, businesses, corporations that will produce jobs and revenue and help us to grow and succeed. And lastly, I commit all of these things into your hands. And regardless of how things may look in the natural, I confess that your word and that you are well able to bring to pass everything that we have prayed for in the city council meeting. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Let us recite the national anthem, Texas honor today. Honor the flag. I pledge to thee.
Start with the I pledge allegiance.
Okay. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one nation. Amen. Thank you.
We will now open up the meeting with public comment, as there are no proclamations or recognitions on the agenda today. Let me talk about public comment for a minute. Issues or concerns not on the regular agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, address all comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single-member district number, and limit their remarks to less than 3 minutes. We understand there are a lot of individuals here today who are either here to listen or to participate in offering public comment. Because there are so many people, not everyone will be allowed to speak today. So what we hope is that the message that you have, and many of you that come forward, can carry the message for those that we will not have the opportunity to allow to speak today. But with that said, we are going to start with public comment, and so may the first person come forward and start with our public comment section on our agenda.
Good Morning, Mayor and City Council. My name is Ashley Leonards, and I am with Texas Right to Life. I live in Austin, 11217 Blackmore Drive in Austin. I'm actually from San Angelo. I graduated from Wall and attended ASU and graduated from there as well. So this city and this issue are both near and dear to my heart. So San Angelo would not be breaking new ground with passing this ordinance. There are already 30 Texas cities that have passed this to protect their unborn mothers and children. To begin, I would like to quickly review how this is possible. Before Roe v. Wade in 1973, Texas law prohibited abortion except in cases to save the life of the mother. Since Roe, Texas has been blocked from enforcing this law, but those statutes have never been repealed. More so, criminal murder statutes in the Texas Penal Code include intentionally or knowingly causing the death of a preborn children. Thus, abortion is still illegal in Texas, but criminal punishment or criminal enforcement is unavailable at this time until Roe is overruled. On that note, this ordinance is carefully drafted within the bounds of current abortion jurisprudence by solely relying on civil enforcement until Roe is overruled. Similar to the Texas Heartbeat Act, which was recently passed, called Senate Bill 8, it just uses civil enforcement to allow this ordinance to allow private citizens to bring a lawsuit against any person that aids or abets in an abortion within the city limits. More so, Senate Bill 22 from the 86th legislative session and the Senate Bill 8 from the recent 87th session both clarify that cities do have this ability to pass this ordinance and protect their preborn. On two separate occasions, the abortion industry has failed to sue Texas cities for passing this ordinance. The first lawsuit was a frivolous one brought against 7 cities that had passed this ordinance and was dropped without any consequence to those cities or the ordinance, and they're still in effect protecting their preborn in those towns. The second legal attack was dismissed by a federal judge, saying that Planned Parenthood did not have the authority to sue Lubbock for passing this ordinance. The Attorney General of Texas himself also filed a legal memo for this case, arguing that Lubbock did have this authority and refuted many of the legal challenges and stated there is no inconsistency between the state and local abortion laws. These successful legal fights show that this ordinance is strong enough to withstand legal challenges and scrutiny and does allow cities to pass this ordinance and protect their communities, their children, and their mothers. Y'all have a unique opportunity today. You have this ability to stand for your preborn, to protect San Angelo from the abortion industry moving in, to stand and show the state and the federal government that you are pro-life and that you want to stop allowing the legal killing of our children, and that you will protect San Angelo residents. Thank you, and I would happily yield for questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you intend to speak, it would be good if you sort of lined up so that it doesn't take so much time for each individual to come forward. So if you just want to kind of get organized in that way, then we can quickly go through a lot of the comments and allow more people to speak. So go on.
Right.
You're on.
I'm Paul Chirro. I live here in San Angelo, 307 North Jackson Street. I preach for the Southgate Church of Christ. I love San Angelo. It's a good city. What makes a good city or a great city is if it's good, and it's good. Most of the people in our city are good people. They're trying to do the right thing, and we're a generous people. We saw that with the last Support San Angelo. It's amazing.
Gives, yeah.
It's amazing how generous this town is. We really want to see the weak protected, and we want to see right prevail. And that's why I have such confidence in this group here. We're the kind of people that are good. That's most of us anyway. Making San Angelo a city for a safe place for the unborn is a top priority to some of us. Protecting unborn children is a good thing, and that's why we're talking about it today. It's like putting rails up on the side of the roads and seat belts on our children. It's a preemptive thing that we do to make sure that something terrible doesn't happen. It's an effort to prevent violence to the smallest people in our community and the weakest people in our community. Today you have before you an opportunity. These don't come often, but it's here now. An opportunity to lead this community in a good thing and a right thing and a holy thing, to save lives and protect these babies. We're asking you to make it happen, to lead us in this effort. This effort is legal. It's already been tested. This message is doable. In recent weeks, in a period of less than 30 days, we collected 1,500 signatures, and we could have gotten many more. Most of the people that we talked to were eager about this and happy about it, and we had no arguments with anybody that we talked to. They were all for this. We have this opportunity, and most of these people are enthusiastic about it. But more important, making San Angelo a sanctuary city is the right thing to do. If someone wanted to slaughter dogs and cats in our community and sell the meat to some foreign country, we would say, we don't do that. Not here. That's not going to be allowed. That's what we're asking you to do, to say to the abortionist, not in our city. Wherever else, but not here. Opportunities don't come like this often, but they're here now. You have this opportunity to make our city a better place. At least pass an ordinance to make this a sundown ordinance so that this will be the law until we get a referendum passed.
You need to wrap up your comments.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please lead us in this city, in this effort. If we fail, or if we're weak, or if we stand back or don't pay attention, we will be judged by God and by history. This is our opportunity to get on the right side. It's your opportunity to lead us. Please do that.
Good morning, city officials, our elected officials. We are just so happy that you, and thankful, we pray for you guys as you lead our city in San Angelo into a prosperous future in every single way. And my name is Juanita Brown. I reside at 4845 Bermuda Drive in San Angelo, Texas. Have been a faithful servant of the Lord, just being here to just believe with you guys as y'all lead us. This is a word to the city of San Angelo, written in September 24, 2006. This name, the City of Angels, was not given by man, but by me, says the Lord. And you, the citizens, will return to me. You will rise up as the sons and daughters of your God in heaven, and you will fulfill the call I have given you. The enemy has decided and distorted my truth. He has caused division among you and built walls. I will tear down these walls, and there will be no division among my people. There are those who say this cannot happen, but they do not see clearly. I will bring a move, an outpouring so great that even those with cloudy visions will see my glory and know it is. I, the Lord, who has done this thing in this city, I have spoken a word, and now it is time. I will perform it. Look, I am already assembling those who can see. My body is beginning to come together, and soon will rise up in victory. Then this land will be reclaimed for my kingdom. You, my people, must come together as a great army for this kingdom. The angels your city was named for are waiting for my command to return to their assigned post. As you join in unity, I will release them to their assignments. This region has been a dry place, but I have intended it to be an oasis, a great place of refreshing. Have I not said, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and repent not only for their sins, but for the sins of the city, that I will hear them and I will heal their land. This you know, but have not come together for the city of angels. I am now ready to pour out my spirit on this city and this region. You must be also ready to respond for my call this hour. This place will be a magnet. Many will come seeking the power and the glory they have heard about. Many witnesses will go out from this place, proclaiming my glory and the kingdom that has come. This oasis will provide life to all who receive it. A great many people will come to receive and learn. I will send my reviving fire that will leave no place untouched. There will be men and women of great prominence come to the city, not to bring a word, but to receive me. This will be a strange occurrence to some, but I have said, I will use this simple thing to confound the wise. I will do this in a place that is unheralded and in a people unrecognized. My glory will rise up in you, and my body and in this city will be resurrected. News of this thing I have done here will go out to this nation and even to the world. Many have wondered why all the new construction is going on here. It seems like it is not needed. Soon more people will come, and the need will be even greater. And
You'll
what is
need to
built
wrap it
now,
up.
okay, well, I'm almost through. What is built now will not even be enough. There won't be enough housing, and there won't be enough places to eat, but I will supply the needs. I will bless the city as you unify in praise and honor. The kingdom of God is coming. Blessings will flow from this oasis. Healing is the living water of the river flowing out of it, and you are this city, San Angelo. Truly then, the city of angels will be as I have ordained it from the beginning of time, says the Lord. Thank you for letting me share.
I'm going to remind everyone again that there's 3 minutes per person. There are a lot of people here who'd like to speak, so please, please, please limit those comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. I promise you I won't take my 3 minutes.
We just want as many people as possible to be heard from
Sure.
today. You've shown up, and that's important.
You bet. I'm Marty Self. I'm single member District 2, and I know most of y'all, and every time I get the opportunity, I watch you on TV, and y'all are doing a really great job, and I commend you for that. And what we would like to do is allow y'all to get onto the ground floor of something really special, and that's the Sanctuary City. What we're asking for y'all to do is to make it, is to take the ordinance and go ahead and vote on it, and go ahead and pass it. You know, to take it to a referendum will take $30,000-$40,000, I suppose, and that money could be used for raises for employees. You know, and so, you know, we have over 3,500 signatures, not verifiable, but, you know, we do have those signatures, and so if we need to take it to a referendum, you know, we feel we could, but we would like for y'all to get onto the ground floor of this thing with us and go ahead and just pass it in a resolution and get on with it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
I'm going to just take a moment. Teresa, everyone keeps referring to an ordinance that's on the agenda today, but there's no ordinance on the agenda today. Is that correct?
That is correct. There's no action on this item today. It's purely public comment.
Hello, my name is Markley Dixon, Director with Right to Life of East Texas and founder of what's called the Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn Initiative. So last night I was 350 miles away over in East Texas in the city of Brownsboro, Texas. And last night, Brownsboro, Texas became the 37th city in the nation to pass an ordinance outlawing abortion. It doesn't take much. Friday, talked to the mayor, and this was something that a number of people in his city were wanting to see. So they put it on the agenda for Monday, and they got it done. And so my encouragement to you guys would be to put this ordinance on the agenda for a vote by the council. You guys have an obligation to uphold, preserve, defend the Constitution of the United States of America. And when I read that Constitution, I don't see the right to abortion anywhere. And we are living in a day and age where the Biden administration has said that they want to see abortion access in every single zip code. We're living in difficult times. And I want to encourage you guys to do what's necessary to protect your zip codes, protect the city of San Angelo from the murder of innocent children made in the image of God. I thank y'all so much. I just want to leave you guys with this. Amos 5:15 says to hate evil, to love good, and to establish justice in Austin, Texas, and Washington, D.C. Wait, that's not what it says. It says, hate evil, love good, establish justice within your city gates. And perhaps the Lord, the God of hosts, be gracious to the remnant of Joseph. This is your obligation. Protect your city gates. Be the watchman and make sure that the abortion industry doesn't come into the city and into lives of innocent children made in the image of God. Lubbock, Texas, the citizens rose up and they passed an ordinance. The mayor and council had an opportunity to pass that ordinance beforehand. They didn't do it. 40 innocent children were killed in Lubbock, Texas because of the inaction of the mayor and council. And then in that election, Planned Parenthood poured in over $300,000. Please do what's necessary to protect the unborn of San Angelo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jerry Peters. I'm the pro-life director for the Catholic Diocese of San Angelo. I don't live in San Angelo. I'm actually in Mertzen and had a very wet trip coming in this morning. I have an alternative proposal. An alternative proposal prepared by our bishop. It's a sample draft which is based on similar pro-life city council resolutions from Hunterdon, Indiana, New Haven, Indiana, Riverton, Utah, Roswell, New Mexico, and Springdale, Arkansas. Importantly, they are different from the sanctuary cities for the unborn initiatives in that they do not purport to prohibit or prescribe abortion in the municipality. Instead, it encourages the government to use legal means to protect and fight for human life, affirms their commitment to human life, recognizes the existing laws on conscience rights for medical professionals, encourages assistance to pregnant women, etc. While symbolic, local lawmakers passing these types of pro-life resolutions still send a message to state and federal decision makers on the importance of protecting human life. Additionally, it would be harder for Planned Parenthood to challenge such hortatory or aspirational ordinances as compared to explicit prohibitions of abortion under the Supreme Court case, Polker versus Doe, 432 U.S. 519, this is in 1977. There, the court held the Constitution does not forbid a state or city pursuant to democratic processes from expressing a preference for normal childbirth as St. Louis has done. This could save on potential court costs and attorney fees and defending challenges. Now, if you wish, I've probably gone my 3 minutes, but do you wish for me to read some of the resolutions or that you have in front of you, or?
You just need to wrap it up, so if
Okay.
you can be concise in wrapping it up, that would be
Well,
good.
if you would take into consideration what that's passed out, again, we're a civilized individuals. I have been a Vietnam veteran. I was a U.S. Marine in Vietnam. I've seen carnage. I've seen man's carnage. It's horrible. War is bad on everyone. But to take human life in abortion, this is unreal. It makes us savages. We should not be some type of animals. So we need to protect our unborn. We need to as a city, show other cities what we are. We need to pass an ordinance. We need to get this ordinance on the books and get it passed. I thank you.
Very much.
Council and Mayor, my name's Ryan Buck. I'm the senior pastor at Emmanuel Baptist Church, and I live at 10042 Floyd Lane here in San Angelo, Texas, just outside of it. And I've taken the responsibility of leading a large group of people that are here today to speak, and I'll be the last one to speak on their behalf. We didn't want to inundate you all day long, but I do want to just mention a couple other things. This morning, as we were arriving, we knew of 1,800 signatures we gathered in about a 30-day period to unofficial petitions to say they're in favor of this ordinance to be passed by the City Council, not to go to referendum. And I was just given 2,500 more signatures that were gathered that I was not aware of until just now. And so there is a very large movement in San Angelo asking you, the City Council, to consider this ordinance not a resolution, but the ordinance to pass to put up a barrier of opportunity for the future for abortionists to come into San Angelo. We know that's not currently the case, and the state of Texas is a great environment right now for people that are pro-life, but we do not know what the political environment in Texas will be in 15 or 20 years. Right now, it's favorable for pro-life individuals like myself, and I think, like many of you stated, you were possibly when you ran for office that you hold today. I would like to encourage you to help put up this safeguard around the city, and I'm going to tell you there are thousands of citizens like me that will support you and help you in every effort you have. The last thing I do want to mention is former Solicitor General of Texas, and also he worked for Scalise, for him, he's in the Supreme Court, helped draft the resolution and has offered his services to any city free of charge if they are sued by Planned Parenthood or ACLU. And that has happened, and he has stepped in the gap to help cities to save them money. And so far, this ordinance has stood. And so I strongly recommend that you please consider this. If you have any other questions, like I said, we are here to support you in any way that we can. But please, please, take this ordinance, put it on the agenda, and vote on it and pass it.
Thank you very much. Are there more people who would like to offer comment this morning?
Basically, you know, this is something that we really need to look into. You know, if you get a chance, read Psalms 10, okay? I'm just going to read a few verses on it. It says, okay, in arrogance the wicked hotly pursue the needy. Let them be caught in the plots which they have devised. For the wicked boast his soul's desire, and the greedy person curses and shows disrespect. The wicked in his haughtiness does not seek him. There is no God in all his schemes. Let's see. But it goes on to talk about how it preys on the needy. And that the arrogant people and the wicked people, they prey on the needy people. Okay? So, you know, they come out and say flat out that they're trying to help the humble and the poor and the oppressed. But that's not the case. And if you read through to the end of Psalms, okay, it says nations have been wiped out because of this. Okay? A little bit of commentary, I mean, you know, but all I'm trying to say, this is not just, you know, quote, a thing against, but selling body parts, you know, and harvesting organs from babies, using them for tests and that, you know, and stuff. I mean, you know, abortion clinics are keeping babies alive to be harvested, you know, the ones that are survive. Okay, and we've got lots of documentation of that. If you look at Veritas, they've got people just flat out saying what they're doing and what they're making money on, okay? So all I'm trying to say is this is evil and wickedness, and don't be fooled by their, quote, compassion for the humble and that. It is completely wicked and evil. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much. Again, I ask you if you plan to speak, please kind of come lined up so that more people will have the opportunity to share today their thoughts.
Hi, I'm Lynette Lucas, and I just want to say that if we don't value life in our community, then what do we value? I think valuing life is one of the top priorities that we should have, and that every single citizen in our community should be protected, that their life should be protected. And I don't think that we should put it to a level of, well, they might, that's a level of better. We should say, absolutely, we value life here in San Angelo. Thank you.
Thank you. The microphone's open for anyone who would like to come forward.
Good morning, City Council. My name is Claudia Mesa. I live at 135 Arlington Street. I practically had to swim here to get here. Never planned to speak right now, but I just, Holy Spirit's inside of me and I have to say it. On any hard decision in life, you always want to know, if I make a decision today, what are the effects of it in 30 years, 40 years in the future? I'm here to defend the unborn. I was one of those mothers that sadly had to do abortion. It's been over 30 years, and I'm still traumatized by it. Help these unborn babies. Keep them alive. Don't allow San Angelo to freely offer abortions to these women, to these girls, because we are girls at that time and we don't know the difference. The pain, the torment is still here today in my body, in my mind. The Lord has forgiven me, and it is something that has been so deep in my soul that I'm trying to help others. As a man, it's hard to see and understand why is there so much make about this, but these little kiddos are human beings that should be here today, and they're not because someone allowed me to have an abortion. Just please, when it gets to your agenda, if it ever does, please vote against any entity here in San Angelo allowing an abortion to be so easy. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your service. May God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Pardon my voice. Pastor David Smith, Senior Pastor of Word of Life Assembly here in San Angelo, and I cannot be silent because of the unborn. This is not about the government. It's not even about churches. It's not about religion. It's about Jesus. He is truth today. He is love. None of us would be here if we would have been aborted. That's an awesome statement I just made. None of us would be here. We wouldn't be having a meeting. We wouldn't be having a council or a city. I just want to encourage you to listen to the voice of God today. This is not about man, the Republicans or Democrats or our official stance or whatever we want. It's not what we want, it's what God wants. It's not what we understand, but what God wants. He is the way, the truth, and the life, and all these religions and churches and doctrines. Jesus is truth himself today. He is spirit and truth in this building, in us right now. And I encourage you as a council to protect the unborn. This is about the sanctity of life. Jesus came that we have life, and that more abundant, and life everlasting. But it starts with the birth. Jesus came and was born in a manger as a baby. Now he's at the right hand of God the Father, and he's in us, Jesus Christ. I just want to encourage you to be strong in the Lord today. Do not listen to man. Do not listen to the government. Do not listen to others. Listen to Jesus, the Holy Spirit, the Word of God, Abba Father today. We stand with you today that Jesus be glorified in this, that we walk out of this building today united in Jesus Christ, one faith, one body. God help us that we not be divided by government, religion, man's thoughts. Our prayers are with you, but I want you to realize God is God today, and he will hold us accountable for these lives, the unborn. We stand for the unborn today in Jesus' name. God bless you. We love you. We pray for you, and may we have the courage to do what is God's will today in Jesus' name. The great I am is here in this building. God bless you. Thank you.
I too didn't plan on speaking today. My name is Leah Kelly, and I graduated from high school in 1975, about the time all of this was getting started. And my husband and I, at that time, we had been dating since I was a sophomore in high school. I got pregnant, and I had dreams. I wanted to go to college. I had big plans. And so I had an abortion. And like 2 years later, I got pregnant again, had another abortion. And then we got married, and we've been married 45 years. And he's amazing. He doesn't know I'm doing this, so y'all be quiet. But it was very selfish, very, very selfish on my part, because I was just thinking about me. Well, my husband and I went 30-plus years and did not talk about it. Did not talk about it. He didn't even know about the second abortion. He knew about the first one. And it's just amazing, God's grace, his love, his forgiveness. I've just been restored. I know that I'll see those two precious babies. God is so good. I didn't have any grandchildren until 10 months ago, and now I have two precious granddaughters, twin girls, 10 months old. And it's all because of him, because of his goodness, his love, his forgiveness, his restoration. But the reason I'm here, if I can save one baby, it's worth it. I just thank y'all. This is a wonderful city. I went to school here at Angelo State University, and I appreciate everything y'all do. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Peggy Cox. I live at 2181 Lupke Lane, and I also had no intention to get up and speak this morning. But as my husband would tell you, I can rarely keep silent, and I couldn't today. Most of these people have talked about the opportunity that you, as our city elected officials, have. I want to go a step farther. It is not just an opportunity. You have a responsibility and a duty to your constituents presently and to the babies that may become your constituents in the future. And I challenge you, do not remain silent on this. Put this on your agenda. Take a vote, take a stand, and let your constituents know that you are here to protect them and to protect the lives of the unborn babies. Thank you.
Anyone else want to offer comment?
Hi, my name is Emily, and
Don't be nervous. You're okay. Just speak your mind.
I live in a generation where people think it's okay to kill innocent lives, and I don't want to grow up like that. It's just,
You're here today because you want us to hear your thoughts, and so please forget about being nervous and just express your thoughts today, because that's why we're here and that's why you're here today. So please don't worry about being nervous. Just speak your mind.
I don't think it's right that people can just kill babies that are able to grow up and live to.
Is that your brother with you today? Would you like to speak, sir?
I have.
Raise the microphone up so you don't have to bend down so far.
Yes, ma'am. I think the same way as an adult, as a baby, they're both lives. They're both the same thing. I think they're both lives, and it's murder. It's plain murder. And we're here with y'all, and we're all with you. Every generation, teenagers, adults, elderly, we're all with you, and we'll stand with you in this town. And we think it's horrible what they're doing and what this generation is being taught of abortion, and that it's okay to kill, and it's growing. The world's getting horrible, but I think we're here with y'all.
Could you give us your name, please?
I'm Wyatt Buck.
Okay.
My dad is Ryan Buck, and this is Emily Buck. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. The microphone is still open at the moment, so if there's anyone in the back of the room or anyone sitting down who would like this opportunity, right now is your opportunity.
My name is Lupe Rodriguez. I couldn't let this go. I had an abortion too. I was at a time in my marriage which I knew that there was going to be a divorce happening. And it was made so easy for me to have an abortion. I know God has forgiven me, but it's something that you just can't let it go. So I ask that y'all do the right thing. And I pray for y'all that you will do the right thing. Thank you, and God bless y'all.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Soha. I live at 3409 Silver Spur here in San Angelo. I've been pro-life since 1974, trying to keep babies alive, people aware, and I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all you do. You work hard that we don't even know about, and I appreciate you, especially you, Mayor. But I wanted to say, people who advocate abortion usually say that they're helping and trying to help these girls, little girls, baby girls, and women. We have the most outstanding pregnancy help center here in San Angelo. Everything there is free. They give all the help possible to girls, to women, to their families. They have sonogram machines. Now they have one that can pick up the baby's heartbeat when it's only a straight line that pulsates. So many hundreds of lives have been saved because of these sonogram machines. They also give maternity clothes and needs. They give baby clothes and needs. They also have parenting classes. And these people who come through, the girls, their boyfriends, their husbands, they get credit for these classes, and they can go spend the credit in the huge closet that the Pregnancy Help Center has with all the maternity and child items. So it's not like San Angelo doesn't help pregnant girls. We have a whole setup to help crisis pregnancies. We don't need abortion. We don't have to kill those people. Please vote. Please vote. Help us to keep San Angelo a wonderful place that helps crisis pregnancy, not kill babies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to talk. Most of you know me. Something you don't know about me.
But the whole world doesn't, so please state your name and where
Thank
you
you,
live.
Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. I, too, was not intending to speak today. My name is John Barrio. I live at 2323 Wilson Street. I am the product of a pregnancy that was medically advised to be aborted. My mother chose life. She was pregnant in 1957 with twins. My brother was not developing properly. She was advised to abort. She said no. She asked the doctor, "What do we do now?" He simply said, "Pray and pray hard." I was carried full term, as was my brother. He survived only 2 days. I live every day hoping to be a worthy contribution to the world. I don't say that for my own edification. I say it very humbly. You know that I have served this city on several boards and continue to sit on one of them. I have often contemplated, has abortion killed the young individual who would have grown up to cure cancer? Has abortion killed that one individual that influenced your life? Most probably, you do not know whether or not your own mothers considered abortion, because it's something women simply just don't talk about. I'll be as brief as possible. It takes only one or two of you to get an item on the agenda. I think I speak for everyone gathered here and those thousands of signatures that have already been collected, that we would like to see this as a priority issue, a matter of life and death, on your next agenda to be voted on as the ordinance was presented, already legally vetted, verbatim, without alteration, without consideration of changes, because we know this is defendable. And I might suggest, thank you, I might suggest that if the council does not take action, it can be put on a ballot by petition. And we appreciate your action. I would not be here today had my mother made a different decision. Thank you, and God bless you.
Are there any additional individuals? Do I see someone coming forward? Good morning. Speak into the microphone, please.
Yes, my name is Crystal Aguilar, and I live at 2216 North Street. I'm 36, and when I was younger, I made the decision to have an abortion here in San Angelo at the Planned Parenthood. It was the medical abortion, the pill. And we're here speaking about these unborn babies. And I'm here to speak about the women who are traumatized by the decision they make. I believe you're on this council because you care about the people of San Angelo. You want to see
drug addiction, the statistics lower. You want to see crime rate lowered. These women who make these choices, I being one of them, are traumatized, and it leads us to a life of destruction and anxiety, depression. And it's not spoke of. You're not checked on. You're not asked how you're doing. You're left alone.
We thank you very much for your thoughts today. I know it takes a lot of courage to come forward, and so thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I suffered silently for years, not even realizing I came to know the Lord at 23 and still suffered silently, not speaking of it. And I'm married, I have children, but I wasn't able to love my children freely because I was still affected by my abortions. And praise God for the counseling, for the Concho Valley Biblical Counseling Center. There's a wonderful lady there named Lou who does post-abortion counseling, who God sent in my life to help walk through that pain. But while I suffered, I know that my city did not, my city suffered because I suffered. I was not a productive citizen. So I encourage you to make San Angelo a sanctuary city for the unborn, not just for these babies, but for these women. Thank you.
One last time, are there more people willing to come forward?
Susie Smith, 3601 Willowbrook. And
pull that microphone down just a little bit more,
okay.
Susie.
And I had not planned to speak today either. I have been so moved by the people who've had courage to speak today. And the heart, I've been involved in the life issue here in San Angelo for over 30 years. And I am so thankful to have been able to be a part of helping get the Pregnancy Help Center started and to see how God has used that and the outpouring of love through this community, just amazing. I know that many of you on the council claim to be pro-life. Those are words. And it only takes one of you to be strong and courageous. Please stand up. Don't pass up your personal opportunity. Your personal opportunity.
The microphone's open. Unless I see someone coming forward, we will end public comments. So this is your last opportunity if someone has something they'd like to offer today. With no one coming forward, we will close this piece of the public comment section. And I thank you all for coming in today. And we'll move on. Are there any other issues that someone would like to comment on public comment? With no one standing or speaking, we will close public comment and we will move into the consent agenda on the agenda. Thank you. I'm going to start with asking council members if there's any item. With that, I will start with Larry. Is there any item you'd like to pull on the consent agenda? Lane? Lucy?
No, ma'am.
Harry?
No, ma'am.
Tommy?
No, ma'am.
I'd like to pull items F and items I from the consent agenda. With those items being pulled, do I have a motion from council to approve the rest of the consent agenda with the exception of item F and item I?
So move.
So moved by Harry.
Second.
Second by Lucy. Any public comment on the consent agenda? With none, we will take a vote to approve all the consent agenda except for items F and items I. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
With none opposed, consent agenda is approved with the exception of F. And F is consider resolution amending the 2021-2026 capital improvement plan to include an improvement to the Parkview Lakes. Tina, would you go ahead and explain this item?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, Mayor. This was a request from our operations department to add an item to our capital improvement plan. I believe Mr. Carter requested this one, and so by bringing a resolution to City Council, we're allowed to add to the CIP. This project is for Parkview Lake improvements, and if you have any questions on the project, I think Shane or Patrick could probably speak to that.
Thank you. Shane, would you like to come forward and talk about the issue here?
Thank you, Mayor. We're, excuse me, we're looking at, as we get ready to do Sunset Lake and we get ready to do the design plans and all that stuff, we want to look at adding the South Lake of the Parkview Lake system to those design plans. And so to do that, we need to have that part of the CIP, and then we'll determine funding as we move along.
So describe that, meaning Sunset Lake flows into Parkview Lake. So the silt and what it accumulates flows into the Parkview Lake. Is that correct?
No, well, they're actually two different lake systems, but they're both on the arroyo. They
Okay.
both flow into the arroyo, which is our main drainage flow through that part of town. And so as we look at the removing all the silt and the debris that's in the Sunset Lake as well too, we also have a fairly heavy sediment loading in that southern lake of the Parkview Lake, the two lakes that are there. And so that's what, basically, as we're looking at the dredging process to see if we can build on the project to hopefully have a bigger project that we can bring in at a lower cost. We're looking at adding those two together. Again, when we go to bidding, we will look, we'll have the design plans, everything ready to go. We'll do the Sunset Lake is the priority, but we will add that other lake, the southern lake of the Parkview Lake system. We will add that as an alternate in our bidding plans. And if the prices come in to where we can afford to do both Sunset and that Parkview Lake, then we're going to try to do both of those at one time.
Okay. Lane, would you like to make comment?
Yes, I requested this with Shane. With all the discussions I've had with the residents over there over the years, we were under the thought that this was on the CIP until our meetings a few weeks ago when I was looking at it and then asked Shane, I thought this was on here and I did not see Parkview Lakes listed, although I think we all thought it was on the CIP. So this is just formally getting it on there and doing our due diligence to make sure that South Lake, where all of the sediment comes in, Sol Ross, Lindenwood, very heavy. I think it accumulates, and even from the overflows of the Sunset Lake, it kind of catches what gets on the road and then washes downstream from there, if I'm not mistaken. But this is just getting it onto the list to where we have the formality.
And that is, it's just placing this into the CIP so we can actually add it into the project itself, the project scope itself.
think before, there's always had been a discussion about the responsibility of Parkview Lake. Is it citizens or is it the city? And I think the net effect is that we realize a lot of what sediment goes into Parkview Lake is a result of other things that happen in the city, not just the responsibility of the Parkview Lake residents. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, the Parkview Lake system is privately owned between I believe, two different homeowners groups, but they do act as
Banks
they
are privately owned. Is that more of a clarification? The banks of the lake.
Well, the land underneath the ponds is actually privately owned, but both of those ponds collectively act as sedimentation collectors, which does clean the waters as it moves on downstream. So it does provide, even though the land underneath those is privately owned, in the action of the two ponds, they do actually provide a cleaner water source leaving the ponds, which does help our MS4 and our stormwater initiatives through the MS4 permitting process.
Okay. Yes. Oh, Harry? No. No other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on to the next item, we can go ahead and move on
Move
to
to
the next
approve.
item. I think we'll try to do both at the same time unless there becomes an issue on that. So item I, consider resolution calling.
It'd be better to take a separate vote.
We will go back and we'll take a separate vote on item F, consider a resolution amending the 2021-2026 capital improvement plan to include an improvement to the Parkview Lakes Lane. Is that your motion? Is there a second?
Second.
And a second by Tommy. Any public comment? Yes, please.
Stuart Susdorf. I live at 2514 Lindenwood Drive. Wasn't expecting to be here to talk about this, but you came to a meeting right after we bought our property there 2.5 years ago. Some other issues with that being that, yes, that lake is, I wouldn't eat anything. I wouldn't put my foot in that lake because whatever washes down there. Concerns we've had, and this is a little bit different, but I wanted to bring it up. I had the chance. We've had I think there's 3 homeowner associations. There's the overall, both lakes. Then there's 2 separate for the splitting of the lakes. And we've had some problems with understanding who is responsible if something happens there. We had a child fall in the lake, so apartments are close by. People come and swim there. Not swim mainly, but fish. One person went swimming unintentionally. And we've had some disagreement, within the residents of who's responsible. Some signs were put up that weren't supposed to be. They didn't go through the proper channels in our homeowners. And I walk around there all the time. I notice somebody bent the signs. We've got people that are mad because they can't fish or swim or boat on that side of the lake. We don't have signs up on our side. So I don't know if this is something that needs to be settled about who's responsible if something does happen there. We've got somebody that lives there that's a retired attorney that says if something happens and you get sued, your little policy that you have is not going to cover, because I just heard you say underneath the water is I own my little strip of land, I guess, out to the middle of the lake or something from the other side. I don't know. So I just wanted to bring that up. I had the chance, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that there's an issue there. Who's responsible? Who owns the lake? And I'm for people getting to use it. The problem is what happens if something happens, and of course we have people that leave their trash there and all of that type of thing that goes with. But I want people to be able to enjoy it, kids to be able to enjoy it. They live in the apartments and things like that. But so thank you for letting me bring that up, a little different issue.
I think that's a good comment and something that ought to be thought through and talked through. So Teresa will look at that. And I don't think she's had an opportunity because I think that's a new subject that we're not aware of. So
Real unique situation how it's
exactly.
set up with the city.
So we just need to look at the legal ramifications and what those homeowner association rules are. Teresa, do you have copies of all of those various homeowners policies in terms of?
I do not. If you have any documentation related to your ownership of that property, I would appreciate it.
We actually have a meeting in one of the groups, homeowner association meeting tonight, and if I can get a card or somewhere I can contact you, and I'll have our president send that to you.
I think they're valid points, and we need to all better understand that, particularly
Yes.
the legal
Thank y'all
aspects of
very
the
much
city.
for your service to our city.
Thank you. All right, with that, is there any other public comment on this item? And so there isn't. Let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6. Tom, did you vote? Okay, so it's 7-0. Item I, consider resolution calling the City of San Angelo, Texas Waterworks and Sewer System Revenue Bonds Taxable Series 2017 for, I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, defeasance, and redemption prior to maturity, and enacting other provisions relating to the subject. It's a lot of legal words in there. I think we all deserve an explanation of what item I is.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so you'll recall that back in 2017, the city issued debt to purchase the Ford Ranch to secure our water rights out there. This item that I'm bringing for you today is our opportunity to pay off those bonds with cash in hand resulting from the sales of properties at the Ford Ranch. So the process of defeasance, basically in layman's term, it's putting the amount needed into escrow so that when the bonds are called, when we can call them on the call date in February of 2022, we've got the money available and it's ready to go.
But does that mean we continue to pay on the debt until 2022?
We're required to continue to pay interest up until the call date, which is February of 2022.
And we can't move that date forward, even
No,
though
ma'am.
we've sold the ranch. Someone else owns it now, we don't own it.
Legally, we cannot do that because when we issued the bonds, we gave the bond holders the assurance of a 5-year call date.
Because I think the last time we had this conversation that we only had to pay debt through June of 2021, so that date's moved out.
It's always been February of 2022, so I'm not sure where that thought came from, but it's always been February 2022. We initially, when we talked with Vince about issuing the debt, said that we would prefer it as soon as possible for a call date. That way, as soon as we had the funds available to pay it off, we could do so, and 5 years was the minimum amount of time.
So there's really no, I mean, we can take a vote on this, obviously we have to, but we can't change any of it because it's already signed off on as part of when we bought the ranch, so this
Yes,
is-
ma'am. It was signed off when we issued the debt initially.
Okay, so with that, may I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Lucy made a motion to approve. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tommy. Any public comment on this item? With no public comment, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. That completes the consent agenda. Before we move into the regular agenda, we will take a break, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. We will now call the meeting back to order, and we will move into the regular agenda. Comments regarding items on the regular agenda may be made by the public when each item is discussed as outlined above. Applicants, proponents, and appellants are accepted from the time limit above and must limit their remarks to less than 5 minutes. So today, we are going to start off with a report from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Diane Bays, you're on. Welcome.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council, City Manager, and citizens. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. As the Mayor said, I'm Diane Bays. I'm the Vice President of the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Discover San Angelo, if that's something familiar with you. And we are a division of the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce. I was told this is going to take me a minute, so I pushed it. We'll see what happens.
Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. We're still waiting. There it is. So just to give you an idea of what the mission is of the San Angelo Convention and Visitors Bureau, it is to enhance the quality of life for the citizens of San Angelo through tourism marketing and promotion. And throughout this presentation, I'll explain that. But we are all about the citizens through tourists. So that is what our goals are in this industry. The Convention and Visitors Bureau is fully funded by a portion of the 7% local hotel tax dollars. So visitors pay our salaries, visitors pay all of our marketing efforts, visitors pay for everything our organization does at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So visitors to us are very important. And it is a designated fund. It cannot be used for any other purpose due to the state law. And there are two criteria, so I'm going to share those with you. First, every expenditure must directly enhance and promote tourism and the convention and hotel industry. And then number two, every expenditure of the hotel occupancy tax must clearly fit into one of 9 statutorily provided categories for expenditure of local hotel occupancy tax revenues. I'm not going to go into all 9 of those, but I'll just give you a couple of highlights. For example, of no more than 15% of the hotel tax dollars can be used for historic preservation. So like building something or working on something at Fort Concho. And no more than 15% of the hotel occupancy tax can be used for the arts. So as you use your funds and you put those funds out for our community and our organizations, those are just things to think about. It can be used for convention center renovation and all of those, but the 9 statutory laws are in the presentation. So if you are ever in need of looking at how you can use those, I can get you a copy of that. That law was written by Scott Josloff with the Texas Hotel and Lodging Association, and they do update that on a regular basis. Oh, next, okay, there we go. I wanted to share our activity. Now, this covers, our budget covers, starts January through December, unlike the city's budget, which is an October-September timeline. So these are our efforts from 2020 of last year. So as most of you know, it was a really tough year for the travel and tourism industry. It was the hardest hit industry in the nation, probably in the world. About 40% of the industry lost their employees, and they are not coming back at this time. And so that has been a really tough loss for us in San Angelo. We lost 3,000 employees, and it is the lowest our employment in travel and tourism in San Angelo has been since 2011. So we're hoping to build that back up, and we do believe we can. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the sales activity. We do have 2 salespeople on our staff here at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Councilman Thompson's moving around the screen. I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, we have Susanna Valenzuela and Jonna Gaddy. We did have a different person last year. Jonna is new to our staff and has hit the ground running. But I wanted to share the efforts that this staff put in last year. So in mid-March, before COVID hit, we had over 100 meetings on our books. In April, we deleted most of them and canceled most of them. So it was a very difficult year. We are a bit of a challenge of a community to recruit meetings to, just simply because of our distance. Some of our challenges are flights. Some of our challenges are state associations like that I-35 corridor, so that's where they want to be. And so when we are recruiting, it is sometimes anywhere from a 1-year to a 3-year effort on our part to get that yes and to get that meeting. And so when you have to cancel 100 of those, it's difficult on your staff. And so we were prepared for that.
All cities had to do that.
And we did, but they did. But I wanted to share how many we had on our books, because that's very important to a 52-week year, having at least 2 events a week or meetings a week on our calendar. That affects our hotel Sunday through Thursday business, particularly when it comes to the meetings group, and that's a time frame they are desperate for. So it was a very tough year. That said, we still were able to have about a dozen events after COVID. Now, before COVID, we had quite a few, but after COVID, we did not have that many, about a dozen. And so staff still continued to sell after 2020. We were not able to get a lot of bookings in 2020, but after 2020, we have started to continue to build that up. Next slide. As this council will remember, not all of you were on the council at the time, However, in April of last year, I came to council. I had been talking with our industry, watching the trends in our industry, and I came to this council asking if we could save funds in our budget for 2020 that we could apply to 2021. And you graciously allowed us to do so, and we saved $200,000 out of our about $1 million budget to apply to this year's marketing efforts, because we knew it was going to be a difficult time to apply those dollars. We also had staff not going places. We cut their travel, cut out a lot of normal expenses that we have so that we could do that, because we are stewards of the public funds, and we didn't want to spend those funds in an improper way during a time when people were not traveling. Next slide, please. Oops, where am I? You can move it forward. Thank you. So during the time of COVID, and we're going to call it that because I don't know what else to call it, we had to really think about how we were promoting and marketing. Normally, we promote outside. That is our role, is to promote outside of our industry or outside of our community. However, we had a lot of small businesses struggling during that time. So we had to kind of reposition what we were doing, and while we were still promoting on the outside, we wanted to help those small businesses. So we tried to make it also enjoyable, so we did start with a bingo game to get people to go into the stores that were open or the restaurants that were open. We also were constantly updating our restaurant list both on discoversanangelo.com and on our social media sites. So our citizens knew what restaurants were open. Our visitors who were staying in our hotels knew what restaurants were open, if they had carryout, if they had any other options besides going into their business. And so we were constantly updating that, and the restaurants were on all the time telling us, this is new, this is new, this is new. So we were able to keep the citizens abreast as well as the visitors who were staying in our properties. And so that was new for us. That's not normally something we do in our industry. But we wanted to make sure those businesses were at least getting money coming into them so that they could keep their employees in business and their doors open. You can move forward. Another thing we did, we worked in cooperation with the Chamber of Commerce and Economic Development, and we created a We'll Be Here For You video so that we could send that out through our sales effort to our clients who might be interested in coming but were not quite ready and comfortable in doing so. So we did that, and we also did a When You're Ready video to promote the spirit of travel, because we wanted to make sure, again, that those who might have been considering coming to San Angelo still had us top of mind. I will tell you, many of the CVBs in the state went dark. They stopped marketing, and we didn't believe that was the way to go. We still wanted to have San Angelo top of mind, so those were the efforts we did. We also promoted mask wearing at our attractions, so we went around the city as staff, took pictures of the businesses that were open to show that you could still go in there, shop safely, and contribute to the economy at the local level. Next slide. So through those efforts, we also worked on our print and digital marketing. As I said, a lot of the industries went dark. I talked to many of our agencies that we work with on advertising, and they were told people canceled. We didn't want to do that. First of all, it was a commitment we had made to that organization too. And that was important to them. We wanted to make sure that we had a good relationship with them. We did move ads, so we might not have had them on the same dates that we had in the future, or in the past. So we moved them based on activity that we knew was going to happen in our community. And so we just adjusted the calendar, but we did not cancel. So we continued to tell the story of San Angelo. Through that, we did it through 37 print publications. I took a photo of some of those, not all of them, and 8 tourism websites. So we wanted to make sure we were still out there with Travel Texas, which is the governor's office, Tour Texas, the other second largest tourism website in the state. We wanted our message out there. If in comparison, in 2019, we were only in 26 because we were doing a little bit different type of advertising back then, and 34 in 2018. So we still exceeded, as far as our marketing was concerned, we exceeded the numbers that we had in the past. Next slide. The other thing I like to share with you is the audience that we hit. So I've actually pulled the numbers of people who have the opportunity to see the marketing that we put out, because that is important. AARP magazine is a magazine. I used to do a lot of trade shows with them. They stopped doing those trade shows. It used to be one of the largest trade shows in the nation. They don't offer that now, but we still wanted to be a part of that organization. That's a great market for us, the retiree coming in, spending a lot of money and having expendable income. That's a potential of 23 million monthly readers. So that is, and it's a very affordable ad, and it's in their magazine. So we wanted to do that. We also did a little bit of an international spin, and this was prior to the COVID pandemic with Nexus magazine, which hits South America, and that is through American Airlines. And so we hit that, and it was in their planes, Spanish-speaking audience. Authentic Texas magazine, which is the 501 for the Heritage Trail system. We were in that 3 times. Brand USA Global Inspiration Program, that is the U.S. Travel Association's visitor's guide. That goes to 8 countries. It's in 8 languages. And so we felt very strongly that we needed to be present there, because we always see the larger cities. We see some of the West Texas communities like Big Bend in that feature, and we think that San Angelo has a great tie-in to Big Bend if people are heading east on 35, or they're flying into the larger airports internationally, and they could come this direction. Pandora was a new thing we did last year, that we worked with Travel Texas and their entities, and we did Our Bottlenecks Are Better Than Yours in the Blues Channel there that is part of Pandora. And we really felt like, especially that Austin market, knowing that if they come to San Angelo, they're not going to have to sit in traffic. They can actually experience the community without that traffic jam that everybody is aware of when you head to Austin. So we are continuing to push that message because it's been very popular for us. Pinterest has really taken off for us, and we're going to continue to expand that. People love to see pictures. People love to dream travel. So we wanted to do a little bit different thing with them. Ride Texas Magazine is part of the Texas Monthly brand, and that is the motorcycle enthusiast. We're still working with them on developing maps to get people off 10 and 20. My husband's a former motorcycle rider, and he hated driving on the interstate, so we want to put them down the middle. So we're still working with that group on creating mapping for us to make that happen. And of course, Shop Across Texas is the website that all of the shoppers love to go to, and they get that experience. We also did a giveaway, which was a very popular giveaway. People wanted to experience San Angelo. 8 stores in our community were named best in Shop Across Texas. ML Letty's was best of the best. Works out pretty well since it's their 100th anniversary next year. And then, of course, the Society of American Travel Writers. We want to have those travel writers. That gives us earned media rather than paid media when they come to our community. And so we want to continue to develop that relationship. Next slide. And then other marketing efforts that we did, Texas Country Reporter, of course, we have been a top Texas town for the past 3 years. That's a great audience for us. Bob Phillips is actually celebrating his 50th anniversary with Texas Country Reporter this year. And so we will be experiencing more opportunities with them to tell San Angelo's story. through that anniversary theme. So we're working with Bob and Kelly Phillips on opportunities there. Texas Events Calendar, Texas Highways, and the Texas Meeting Planner Guide are publications that are at the Texas Travel Information Centers. And we want to ensure that those who do drive into Texas are able to capture data from San Angelo. And so we feel really strongly that we need to utilize the ambassadors who are the Texas Travel Information Counselors, because they will tell our story too. They're essentially free staff. And so we want to make sure to get that message out to them. And of course, Texas Music Magazine, with our music-friendly designation, we felt really strongly we needed to be present there, and we will continue to work on that relationship. And Parks and Wildlife Magazine, with 55 miles of trails at the state park, with Lake Nasworthy, with the Concho River. We have a great nature product, and that story needs to be told. The Texas State Park Annual Guide, and then, of course, the Texas State Travel Guide, which is the guide that the governor's office puts out when they deliver the message through their staff all over the world. And we have to be in that publication, both print and digitally. Next slide. Earned media. A lot of people might not have ever heard of what earned media is. Earned media is, we didn't pay for it, but we had something to do with it. So we reached out, we did our public relations efforts, True West Magazine, Texas Music Magazine, Texas Highways, Travel Week Canada, Travel Press Canada, Ride Texas, Texas Town and City, Here Magazine, Texas Co-op and Power Magazine. All of them had stories about San Angelo. We didn't pay for those stories. Those are stories that their readers got to see about our community. That's a significant thing. And we want to continue to have that, because we can tell the story all day long, but you know as well as I do, if you're on TripAdvisor ever, you're trusting a total stranger over what they're saying about somebody's town. These are travel writers. This is what they do. They travel around all over and they tell stories. So they felt very strongly that we should have our story told. Travel Week Canada and Travel Press Canada. I was actually in Canada in March with Travel Texas. And we had 8 different representatives from the state of Texas, as well as the Texas Tourism Office. They had never heard of San Angelo. They had talked to all of the other places, like Fredericksburg, like Houston. So when they wrote these articles, San Angelo was top of mind because we were new. And so we're going to continue those efforts. We also have gone to Mexico. This past year we didn't. Susanna went the year prior, and we got a great deal of press because of that, being able to tell our story to another North American country. And we love the fact that we can pull from both north and west, or in south, so from Canada and Mexico. The Canadians come down the valley. We have that winter Texan market. We want them to stop here when they're on their way to and fro. So that's another opportunity we have. Next slide. A little more earned media. Rediscover America reached out to us, and they wanted to know about our true Western lifestyle, so we had that opportunity. Texas Parks and Wildlife, Texas Highways again, and then True West Magazine. And so we have really done well on our earned media, and we will continue those efforts. Next slide. More of our PR efforts. We submitted the application for the top 10 True Western Town for 2021. We were ranked number 2 this year. But the past 2 years, in 2019, we were number 2. In 2020, we were number 1. And sadly, things didn't go the way we wanted them to as far as promotion is concerned, but we are now back to back to back, number 1 and number 2. And we are still trying to find anybody else that has ranked that high steadily. Bob and I don't know anybody who has. We will continue this effort next month. We will do the application once again. We have lots of opportunities. I've already mentioned M.O. Letty's. We have some other opportunities that we can promote our Western heritage through True West Magazine.
Is the Cowboy Jubilee going to happen this year?
Right now, it is still on the books, so we hope so.
And when is that?
It will be, hold on, actually wrote it down. Cowboy Way Jubilee is October 7th through the 10th. So more opportunities that we have. Launched our Visitor Savings Pass. In 2020, we had 91 downloads, and people were utilizing that app. What we've done is we've worked with a company called Bandwango, of all things, and they reach out to the businesses. The businesses offer discounts, and so when visitors or even citizens are here, they can actually download the app as well and utilize it when they are in town. One of the other features of this app is when we do have a larger group, we can brand it just for that group so that they can download the app. It has their logo on it, and they can share it with their attendees. So we think that's a great way to promote. And then, of course, we had two shows air on Texas Country Reporter. There was a Texas Perimeter Tour done by yours truly with How Big is Texas? I wanted to make a statement on Texas opening back up. I'm on the boards of the Texas Travel Alliance, and I was formerly on the board of the Texas Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus. We had a rough year, and when the governor opened our doors back up, I wanted to make a statement. And so I went with two of my colleagues, one from the governor's office and another from Tax Free Shopping, and we drove the perimeter. Bob Phillips heard about it, filmed us, and that the rest there is, they say, is history. Art in Uncommon Places. We wanted to share the story of Joy Thomas and Julie Raymond. We think they've done a fantastic job in putting public art in San Angelo and beautifying our city. So Bob and Kelly came and interviewed them as well. Next slide. More of our public relations efforts. I shared earlier about the earned media. We have travel bloggers who have come, and those have usually come through the Governor's Office of Travel and Tourism. Had we not had the relationships that we've had with them and being able to tell our story while they were in front of us, we probably would not have gotten those calls. And we continue to get those calls from those organizations. So Esther Irish is out of McAllen. She has a Laugh With Us blog, and it's a very popular blog. I think she has 1 million viewers on Pinterest. So we base things on what their social media activity is. Alex Timbledore was sent to us by the governor's office with Here Magazine, and she told the heritage of our Hispanic community, which was a great piece. Kathleen Macca did Tales from Texas, and she just reached out to us. She had heard about us and wanted to come. Lisa Bell as well with Weatherford Now and Burleson Now. And then Jolie Ferguson with East Texas News. That was just out of the blue. My aunt called me and said, just letting you know that this was in the Tyler paper and your community got a photo credit. So that's how we learned about it. And then finally, at the end of the year, a couple of years ago, I reached out to Laura Lewis and Cheryl Day Cordova with Representative Darby and Senator Perry's office because I really wanted us to have some kind of designation that was a Capital of Texas designation. And when I asked them the process, they told me I had to do it during a legislative year. They were in the middle of the year, so it was too late. And so she said, reach back out to me and we will pursue it in 2021. And so I put on my calendar a 2020 October date. And so I reached back out, asked them what we needed to do. Originally, we looked at the Arts Capital of Texas, but we felt like visual arts was really a strong point for us. And so I did research in December, submitted a PowerPoint to the congressman's office, and Representative Darby and I testified in Austin, and then Senator Perry took it to the floor. The governor signed it in June of this year. And for the next 10 years, San Angelo is the visual arts capital of Texas. So we have that through 2031.
Getting the designation is such a terrific thing to have. But my question is, what are we doing to deserve it? Because we don't want, one of the interesting things when that came out and was published, I had other communities in some of the meetings that I'd gone to who said, well, we want one of those too. We want to have that 10-year designation. And of course, the comment is, well, you can only have one of those. But it will become a very competitive thing. And so what we want to do is to make sure that we have a program that really justifies on an ongoing basis this 10-year designation. So we want to make sure we prove up that 10-year designation is a valid designation.
Well, one of the things we're doing is working with our arts community. Alejandro Castanon with SBDC, who is also an artist, is working with us in identifying all of the visual artists in our community. We are doing a weekly post on our social media introducing those artists. We are telling where you can purchase their art, a little bit of a biography about them, and putting that message out there. Jasmine Harris is our digital marketing graphic design manager, newly graduated ASU Dean's List student, and this was her first job out of college, and she's hit the ground running to do that. We're also working with By the Stream Media and some of our other arts entities on a branding piece for that. So we will be introducing a logo for the Arts Capital, so we have that we can put around the community. We've talked to the arts agencies and the arts organizations in San Angelo, and because we now have this designation, this offers them more chances to pursue the grants because we have Visual Arts Capital of Texas. In pursuing those grants, that includes adding more art. So that is the effort we're making, and then we will, of course, do more public relations. We have shared this again with the governor's office. Now they know. They're pushing that out. They're pushing stories out for us. And so we plan to take advantage of this for the next 10 years.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Next slide. Social media, I've shared this before. I've been at this for 25 years. When I first started, we had a website barely, and we had direct mail, and we sent out or made actual phone calls on a real landline. And now everything has changed a bit. We're still on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and LinkedIn, and we have been utilizing those platforms in telling our story. We are now at around 18,000 followers since I did this presentation. One of the things we've done in our visitor center, Facebook and Instagram, there is a company called Smurl that does an automatic, if you sign up to like or follow those two platforms, it will turn a rotary turn in our visitor center. So our volunteers, now when visitors come in, they say, like San Angelo or Discover San Angelo on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll watch it turn together. And people will do that. And so that has been a way to increase those numbers, and we've seen that with great effect. Of course, Twitter is the small 45 character piece on that platform. It's a little challenging, but we are able to do that. YouTube, we've continued to increase our videos, and we have more coming. Our bottleneck videos are getting ready to launch. By the Stream shot those, and so we're excited about that. Pinterest, of course, I shared that, and then LinkedIn is really more of a business profile, but we put information about our events and other activities on that platform. Next slide. So what did that mean for last year? I just want to share these numbers, occupancy and rate for 2020. So last year, our occupancy was at 55%, and our rate was $70. In comparison to 2019, it's about a 9% difference in occupancy. We were at 64% in 2019 and $78 in 2019 as opposed to the 70. However, the good news on that is we were at the same occupancy in 2017. So while we did see a decrease, it was not drastic compared to other cities in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, if I owned a hotel, I would be happy and sad at the same time, because if you look at that number, honestly, you would have thought the percent would have been a greater percent in terms of the decrease.
Right.
On the other hand, if I owned a hotel and had to pay the bills, I would feel the pain.
Right.
But it's great to see our ability to continue to put people in hotel beds and to
Right.
do better than the state.
Right.
And so that's pretty much good news. When you present bad news, that's still good news.
Correct. And the rate now, we're at around 56% occupancy year to date. That's a January through August year to date. And as far as our rate, we're at the 2019 number. We're at $78. And so that's pretty good. We can do better. We would love to hit 60 by the end of the year. We hope we will. That is really a goal our office has, is to try to maintain at least a 60% occupancy. And we'll see what happens.
Do you have the occupancy for June and July? Because unquestionably, there were lots of people from out of town in our city in June and July. We saw them on a regular basis in the downtown area for sure, and I'm sure if we did in downtown, the rest of the city did. So I'm not sure what the delay is in actually you getting the information.
We actually started working with Smith Travel, and we purchased a weekly occupancy rather than just a monthly occupancy when COVID started, so we could actually see everything that was happening to be able to do that. And then we would report it back to city finance so that they could see those numbers as well, because that was very important. As far as June, just according to this, it looks like we were around 55%. And 54%, but that was still better than many of our numbers earlier in the year.
At one meeting, I don't remember which one it was, you also talked about the occupancy in some of our newer hotels versus the older hotels, and
Correct.
those numbers were very impressive.
Right.
You want to, I don't know if.
Yes, I'm going to guesstimate because I don't have those numbers on me, but if you look at some of the newer properties that are less than, let's say, 10 years old, and you just pull that number, usually that's around 80% occupancy, and the rate is around 130, 140. So there's a significant difference in that rate. And so our newer, larger properties are getting a better rate, obviously.
And I think that's important to point out, because one of the other comments that we hear is, how could San Angelo afford to have one more new hotel being built?
Right.
And so I think your numbers answer that question of why one more hotel
Sure.
can function in San Angelo.
Well, I would also add that when we are booking association groups, and we want a group of a couple hundred people that want to be in one location or in proximity to each other, there are times when we will send out a bid and we'll get 20 rooms here, 20 rooms here, 20 rooms here. Majority of the time, we lose that bid because they are not in one location or 2 to 3 locations. If you think of where you go when you go to a conference, majority of the conference attendees get to stay in the same property or properties adjacent to each other. And so we need that. And people that don't think that's true, think about Vegas and take out gambling if you can. Think about Vegas. People go to Vegas, they fly there, they drive there, they park their car, they are there for their conference, their stay in their hotel, they don't ever have to leave. Everything's within walking distance, everything is where they need it to be, and everybody is staying in the same location. So there's a reason those work, there's a reason it is the largest convention city in the U.S., because of those opportunities. And we want those same opportunities here. We get from our association planners all the time, we would love to come to San Angelo if only you had this. And that is always the reason we lose business. That people want to be here, but we don't have the facility that works quite what they need. So when we do that, we really seek the smaller meetings that we know will be good meetings for us, and that they will be satisfied, because we want them to come back over and over and over again. And if they come for the visit first, they might come back to bring their family, whatever that might be.
Thank you.
Next slide. Next slide.
Coming.
Maybe. Hello. So, what does this mean for citizens? If you remember back in my mission, our mission, I talked about the fact that we do this for the citizens of San Angelo. So, if not for visitor spending in San Angelo in 2020, every household would have had to pay an additional $549 in taxes. So, if you look in comparison, in 2019 that number was $618, and in 2018 it was $594. We surpassed 2017. So visitors coming into our community don't use much of our utilities, but they pay. They pay to stay in our hotels. They don't come to San Angelo for our hotels. I've never had anyone come to me and say, I'm coming to San Angelo because I want to stay at name brand hotel. They never say that. They come for a meeting, they come for a baseball tournament, they come for a weekend getaway, they come for something else, and they stay in our hotels. They spend money everywhere else. So that impact is that number. Those people will come and visitors will eat at our restaurants. They will shop at our hotel, or at our retail stores. They will visit our attractions. They will fly at our airport. They will purchase fuel at our convenience stores and gas stations, and they'll buy chips and Cokes and everything else. That's what a visitor will do. They spend dollars so that citizens don't have to pay as many taxes. So we want that experience to be a great experience, so that number will continue to go up. Next slide. Major accomplishments in 2020, these are just a few. I know I've shared some somewhat sad news, but we had to share that. We had to just kind of tell you the truth, the facts, what's happening. I've already shared, we were the #1 true Western town in the United States last year. We beat Tombstone, we beat Dodge City, we beat Deadwood. Everybody knows those places. We were #1 because we are still the authentic Western community, according to True West Magazine. We were selected as one of only 3 communities that has a permanent Don't Mess with Texas mural. And that's a big deal. And we are now starting to see growth where the mural is. And so we're going to have more eyeballs on that mural as they come into town. This one is one I'm really probably most proud of. TripAdvisor named San Angelo Visitor Center Traveler's Choice Best of the Best in 2020. And I got this email, and it almost seemed like spam because you get that a lot. And we reached out, and they said, this is accurate. According to TripAdvisor, travelers placed this attraction, the Visitor Center, in the top 10% worldwide because of consistent 4.5-star guest reviews. That's because of our volunteers and our weekend staff. We're not going to take credit as a staff. I won't take credit for that. I take credit because they did that. Our volunteers, people who work for free, visitors love them. They tell our story, and so if you're ever in a visitor center during the week and you see a volunteer sitting there, please thank them. They are the first point of contact for a visitor. If they make that greeting and that knowledge great for that visitor, this is what happens. 10% in the world. That's huge. And then at our TACVB conference idea fair this past year, we were given an award for our local awareness campaign and our tourism branding and promotion campaign. So our efforts have been paying off even through our own industry community voting for us.
At one point, we were informed that Discovery Channel would be coming to town to film some things. What has happened with that?
Unfortunately, that has taken a back seat. However, Fishing Camp is coming January and February, or either January or February. They are part of the Outdoor Channel, and they're going to be coming. And so we're excited about that happening. Discovery Channel, unfortunately, the show, I don't believe, was picked up. And so that it was a new change. You don't have control over that, but that's part of our film-friendly efforts. And we also have, I have a filmmaker who just reached out to me this week, and we're working with cotton growers to locate a field for her to film a documentary here in San Angelo. And so you never know which hat we're gonna wear, but our film efforts, the Film Commission sent her to us based on what is in San Angelo and the photos we have sent in to them at the governor's office to let them know what is here. So we were thrilled to do that, and we're hoping that will come to fruition probably at the end of next month, because she wants to come during harvest or right before harvest. So we'll see what happens with that.
Field of Dreams, in other words.
Field of Dreams, there you go. A couple of other things I didn't put on here, but I want to share those because those are, they were 2020, they happened in 2020, but they're happening in 2021. So Cowboy Way Jubilee, you've mentioned that it will be October 7th through 10th. October is going to be a crazy, crazy month, so hold on to your hat. We'll have cinch roping and on-plane air in the third week of October, October 23rd through the 30th timeframe. And then also further on, even with that, the San Angelo Revolution Film Festival. We had our first annual last year, but we didn't have our first annual last year. But we had already judged the films. It was supposed to happen in April. We had to cancel. So we went ahead and did a virtual awards ceremony for the filmmakers. They will be here this year. We extended and added a day to the film festival so that we can show their films as well. And so we're going to have that October 14th through the 16th. And the films will be integrated from last year's winners to this year's winners. We're going to have a blowout red carpet ceremony for those folks because we want them to want to be back and also potentially film in our community. We're going to be working with ASU. One of the actresses who's in the filming is a graduate of ASU, so she's going to speak to the theater department about opportunities to be in films in Texas. So we're trying to utilize as much as we can during this film festival. I have a site visit with the planner out of Austin. He has the Austin Revolution Film Festival, and he lent us his name so that we can work and extend his film festival market. And then finally, I have to give huge props to Susana Valenzuela. She got us Air Race 1. This council helped vote for funding of it. My advisory board helped vote for funding of it, but she's been holding the hands of people from Spain and England for about a year and a half. And they came to us. That is her market. She is a leisure salesperson in sports, and so she worked with them. And it is going to be a great event. We're working with Lions Club. They are helping with the ticketing. Ticket sales are going well. Majority of them are out of town, meaning heads and beds. And that event is Halloween weekend, October 30th and 31st at the airport. We're hoping to showcase the airport as well. And that's a big deal. If indeed this event goes well and swimmingly, they have said that we would be their headquarters next year, and we would be the location for one of their races, and then they would have maybe a half a dozen races in the U.S. And it's Formula One racing in the sky. We are already working on our advertising plan for this. We will be geofencing the Reno Air races. We're also going to be doing the same at Austin for a NASCAR race or a Formula One race. And so we think we can draw a lot of those out-of-town folks and out-of-state and potentially out-of-country folks. We think it's going to be a fairly big media event as well. Next slide. So looking forward.
We don't stop 1 minute. Are we going to have the International Lily Festival this year as well?
That is happening. As you know, it's about a 4-hour event. And so we haven't been real active with it, but we've been working with Larry Jolly on any opportunities we can to push that message out, because we really do find that to be a great attraction for our community. Unfortunately, we're not able to show the people who come there because it is a free attraction, if you will. And so we're not able to actually monetize how many visitors come to the gardens, but if you look at TripAdvisor, it's up there in the top 5 attractions. And so we will continue to push that message. I have a lot of PR activities coming up, and I will be sharing, as I always do, that we have the International Water Lily Collection in San Angelo, Texas, because people are always surprised by that. So looking forward, I think majority of you, if you didn't, I think you did, but a majority of you have received a Destination Next survey, and we just closed that survey. We sent it out to a little over 200 leaders in our community. I'm happy to report 108 actually took it. Over 50% survey. That means they want things in our community. They are understanding the importance of the travel and tourism industry in San Angelo. We were the first Convention and Visitors Bureau destination marketing organization in the U.S. to take the Destination Next survey. And so I look forward to all those other cities saying, how'd you get so many? Because I don't know that they were going to get that. But we worked with a number of leading organizations in San Angelo, whether it's boards, committees, ASU leadership, whatever that might be, because we really wanted to get a good amount of information from you on what you want in our community that is related to the visitor market. We did a hotel survey, so we reached out to our hoteliers. We wanted to know what the market looks like for them. And we will do this survey again next year because this was an off year, but we wanted to see what that looked like. Did we have blue collar, white collar, sports, weddings, whatever that might have been? So we have that data as well. And then the visitor survey was probably one of my favorites, and I haven't gotten all the results back, but I wanted to share the word cloud. That is the information on the right of your screen. We reached out to visitors that had signed in at our visitor center from 2019 through 2020, I think 2021, it was May of 2021. Those are the top words of what they thought of our community.
What's that zero in the middle of the N?
That is just there. That has nothing to do with anything. It's just there. It's the center. It's the center. Friendly was number one. Friendly was number one. So that doesn't just mean people in our visitor center. That means people around our community, because they just stopped there. They didn't necessarily just come to the visitor center. So that says we have great ambassadors. At our attractions, our restaurants, our retail, people are greeting our visitors in a way that number one word was friendly. For us, that's hugely important. The Convention and Visitors Bureau has no dog in this race. We have no product. We have no control over the product. We just market. We hope when we send people to a hotel, when we send them to an attraction, when we send them to a restaurant, when we send them shopping, that the experience is going to be good for them. This says it is.
You know, very often what we find is that not only do we need to know what they said that was positive and uplifting, but what were the things they said that we need to work on? Because we will continue to be a great city and grow as a great city if we also attack those things that were challenges for this community. And so I want to make sure that, not necessarily today, but that we understand what some of the challenges were that were put out there so that we can continue the work and effort to make this city great.
Absolutely. And this word cloud that is the word cloud. Those were the top things. So when the top things are positive things, that's great. I know there were probably some negatives, but these were the top words. I've seen these where it has said cold or nothing. That didn't happen.
That's great.
So I love that. Destination X survey, the results, Darren Rudloff with Rudloff Solutions will be bringing those to us next month, and he's going to get all of that for us, and he will be part of our strategic planning efforts when we are ready to go forward. We are also going to be in process of the development of a tourism master plan. These surveys had everything to do with what's next. So we wanted to gather data not only from our hotel guests or our hoteliers who bring in those funds and are the conduit to those funds. We wanted to find out the visitor's opinion, and we wanted to find out the citizen's opinion. All of those things matter in development of a tourism master plan. So we are looking at product development. One of the other things we did in 2020, and that pivot word had to come out sometime, so here it is. We wanted to look at destination management and what that looks like. Because not only are we destination marketers, we are also destination managers. So I worked with my staff on opportunities for them to make a difference in the development of our destination. Susanna Valenzuela is on the Railway Museum board. She is now chair of that board. And she and Monica Ramos, who is with Downtown San Angelo, and many others, but those two have stood out for me, have really worked hard to put events in that facility and to get that building some exposure that it wasn't getting in the past. And I know when I first got here, both the Museum of Fine Arts and Fort Concho were really anxious to see that third leg, if you will, of the stool be enhanced. And we are in that process. They have sought after grants. They've received some. They're seeking more. So they're trying to find funding in order to make that work. And we feel very confident that we're going to see the Railway Museum really move forward in the future. We're going to increase those hours as we get grant opportunities. And so it's a big deal. And we love that historic great building is being used. And if you've come to any of those events, you have seen that that's happening. And so that's again the third leg of that stool that we really need to have happen. So kudos to my staff and particularly Susanna on that piece. Tourism economic impact, we're going to be working with Darren Ruthoff on that. We want to find out when we have the visitors here for events, we want to find out how much they're spending. And so we're going to be capturing that data in the future at events. Trail development. We understand that visitors don't look at city limits or county lines. So we have some small communities around us that have great attraction opportunities that we can fold into our existing attractions. And so we want to look at the trails from the stained glass or the painted churches that are around our city, to the Lady in Blue story, to things that are happening in Cristobal. We want to tie all those together so that we can give a true opportunity and experience to the visitor. Because they may spend a little money out of town, but they're staying with us, and they're spending majority of their money here. And if we help those communities, we lift all boats, and that's important. And then neighborhood tourism districts, we've met with ASU. We've met with some other organizations in our community that want to talk about how we get visitors there. With the new Meyer Museum, we feel really strongly that ASU has a new piece that can be really helpful to telling the story to visitors. So we're going to be working on what those neighborhood districts look like. We are all aware of the downtown district, and it's fabulous. It's got more growth to do, but we also want to look and make sure that we're getting that visitor message out to those other places. Some of those districts are part of those Shop Across Texas stores that were named the best. So visitors are looking at them. So we want to make sure we identify that. Of course, we will continue to sell San Angelo. That has never stopped, despite all sorts of challenges in 2020. We will continue to do that. We have continued to increase our meetings market. We had a group that was here a couple of weeks ago in this facility, and they have now said they're going to come back in 2022. We have the Texas Police Games. They'll be here next year. That's a huge event with 1,000 room nights. We want more of that. It's spread out over 7 days, 10 days, so that helps because that makes those police happy. They've been here before, they came back. So, and we will also continue telling the story of San Angelo. That story is important, getting the name out, telling people what there is to see and do. If we go back to that number, we want to increase that number. We want to hit 1,000. We want that impact to hit a big number. And when we're at almost 600, that's important.
We've continued to see great impact from the Stock Show and Rodeo, and this year having the opportunity to have them split, and with the plan to continue to have them split next year. It's one of the biggest ones that we have in terms of bringing people to town.
Correct. And we actually, if you look at the numbers from, I don't know if we can go back to that slide, the occupancy and average daily rate in February, this happened pre-COVID. And so those
during
numbers.
The winter storm.
And during a winter storm. And February is traditionally the highest time as far as visitors are concerned. And so with that split, we didn't know what would happen. The hoteliers didn't know what was happening. It was a nice balance. And again, it was during a troubled time. So we expect that will be an even larger increase, and it gives extra room for people. So we love our rodeo folks, and they're celebrating their 90th anniversary next year. So we have a lot of big anniversaries coming up, and we will continue to work with them.
What was your April occupancy? Because that's when the rodeo happened, and I think that has a huge impact on your occupancy.
Let's see, April, actually occupancy in April was not that high. It was around 40%. But had the stock show not happened, that would have been a different number altogether. But that was 2020 of last year. I don't have this year's numbers, I'm sorry. I don't have that. Next slide. And this is my last slide, and I like to share this. This is actually an old graphic from the U.S. Travel Association, but it hasn't changed. It all starts with a visit. So no matter what someone is coming to our community for, whether it is for a family reunion, a wedding, a sporting event, or a meeting, whatever that might be, they're a visitor first if they've never been here. So what that experience is, that 4.5 visitor rating is really important because that's that first experience for the visitor. And if it starts with a visit, they may want to come back. They may want to bring business back. They may want to relocate. They may want to bring their child to university here, whatever that might be. That is an important piece. And if you look at this dollar sign, it starts with a traveler. They come here by some type of transportation. They go to our attractions, our accommodations. They visit places. That money is spent. They pull money out of the ATM. The bank gets some money. They pull anything out, spending dollars. Those dollars go back into our community at our banks, our schools, whatever that might be. So visitors are a really important economic engine for San Angelo, and we want to increase that visitor spend. We want people to come here. I know some people go, we want to be a hidden gem. Well, we want to be a hidden gem, but we also want to be acknowledged as a great community because we believe that people will have a great experience here and they will want to return over and over again. That is my presentation.
Thank you very much, Diane. Well done. Do I have questions from any of the rest of council for Diane? I know you covered a lot of information, a lot of points, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next item is item B, consider resolution nominating candidates to serve on the Board of Directors of the Tom Green County Appraisal District for the 2022-2023 term. Julia?
Yes, this is part of a two-pronged process whereby the City of San Angelo, as a taxing entity, is eligible to provide 5 names to support for the Appraisal District's board. The 5 members that currently are on the board are John Begnon, John Kahn, Louis Gomez, Candy Poole, and Bob Reeves. They have all agreed to serve an additional term if they are so elected. So what we're doing right now is just passing a resolution with the 5 names that City Council would like to see on the ballot. After all of the taxing entities provide their 5 names, then the tax appraisal district will actually create a ballot and will bring it back to you in the December timeframe to vote on.
So today, are we just confirming that we want those same 5 names to remain as our individuals for the Tom Green County Appraisal District?
Unless somebody else would like to present a new name.
Does anyone have a new name to add to the ballot of Tom Green County Appraisal District? I see none, so we will accept, or we should continue to support the 5 names that were given.
Need action, Julia?
Yes, we need a motion.
I would move that we adopt this resolution as presented, Mayor.
Thank you, Tommy. A second by Lucy. Any public comment? With no public comment, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes 7-0. Item C, first reading and public hearing of an ordinance for CP 21-05, an amendment to the comprehensive plan changing certain lands from the neighborhood center and transitional future land use to the commercial future land use, being approximately 6.287 acres located at the southwest corner of Loop 306 and Foster Road. And 2, an ordinance of Z21-08, a rezoning from the light manufacturing, the single-family residential zoning districts to the general commercial zoning district, being approximately 6.287 acres located at the southwest corner of Loop 306 and Foster Road. And John, you're on.
Thank you. John James, Director of Planning and Development Services. As you mentioned, this is both a comprehensive plan amendment and rezoning. You can see there on the map, it's near the corner of Loop 306 and Foster Road. You can see the existing plan calls for neighborhood center, which is a lower intensity type commercial, as well as a little corner of it that's called transitional. We'll just be recommending changing that to the full commercial, allowing a wider range of commercial zoning. Similarly, a portion of the property is zoned light manufacturing currently, and another part is zoned RS1 for single family. This would just change it all to the general commercial zoning district, which we believe makes sense at that major intersection. We sent out our notifications, did not receive any responses in favor or in opposition. Just a few pictures of the property. It is currently undeveloped. Like I mentioned, it is compatible with the surrounding area. It's a good location for commercial development, not only because of its location on Foster Road and the Loop, but also the housing development that's occurring behind that makes it a good location to provide nearby commercial for that residential. So staff does recommend approval of both the comp plan amendment and the rezoning, as did the Planning Commission unanimously at their meeting in July. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I've had phone calls with questions from people who live in Butler Farms off of Foster Road and are concerned that any decision we make might increase the amount of traffic on that Foster Road loop area. Just a comment. Any other questions or comments concerning that area? Okay, with that, then we would ask for a motion for approval of items C1 and C2.
I'll move, Mayor.
So moved by Tommy, seconded by Harry. Any public comment on this item? With no public comment, we will take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I don't know if Tom was still on and if he voted.
Since he's not visible, we'll just count it 6-0.
Okay, so that was a 6-0 vote, motion approved. We'll go into item 7, which is the closed session executive, which we do not have anything on that item, so we will now move into follow-up and administrative issues, which A was to consider closed session. We had none. So we'll move into item B, is considering various board nominations, tax increment reinvestment zone, Tom Marr, SMD 6 to a second term ending July 2023, and zoning board of adjustment District Tillis, SMD 4 to an unexpired term ending January 2023. Do I have a motion for approval of those two board nominations or extensions?
So move.
So moved by Harry, supported by Tommy. And any public comment? With none, we'll take a vote. All of those in favor of approving those two candidates, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion passes 7-0. Item 8C is announcements and consideration of future agenda items. I think that one of the items that the council would like to talk out loud about with Teresa, for example, is the number of people who showed up today and asked about making us a sanctuary city. They all talked about an ordinance, of which we've not seen one and don't have one from our legal department. So I think I'm asking, as I go through council, to see if we want Teresa to put together an ordinance for review and then decide what action or what the process that we choose to have moving forward would be. So Teresa, I don't know what the time frame is in terms of putting together an ordinance. Certainly there were some items presented to us today that outlines some ordinance language, but would have to be reviewed relative to the city of San Angelo. And then the question mark is, because the city of San Angelo is a big part of Tom Green County, don't know if that should be extended and looked at as a total county, or if the only thing we can consider, in fact, or that the ordinance should address is the city.
The only thing that you can address is the city. But there was also a resolution that was proposed. Would you also like me to bring back an option for a resolution or just the ordinance?
Let me ask council, do they want both? Do you have an opinion? Do you want a resolution and an ordinance brought back for review, or do you want just an ordinance brought back for review?
We're going to do an ordinance. I don't think we need to have a resolution. I just
Well, it
assume
would
do
be
the
deciding
ordinance.
one or the other. And so the question mark is everyone in support of an ordinance being brought back for review, or do you want two options, an ordinance or a resolution. Larry, which would you like?
Just an ordinance.
Lane?
I'd say ordinance.
Lucy?
I would like to see both.
Okay, Harry?
Ordinance.
Tommy?
I'd like to see both because I don't know the effect of the difference between the two, so I guess I'd like to see both as well.
Tom? He can't hear, and I would like to see both. So I think the majority says bring, and Tom is saying two. So we would like a resolution brought back for review as well as an ordinance, and then that will determine what we choose to do moving forward. Okay. With that, are there any other items in consideration for future agenda items that council would like to be brought forward at this point for a future council meeting? Okay, with none, then we will ask for a motion for an adjournment. May I have one? So moved by Tommy, seconded by Lane. I'm sure there's no opposition to that. So at this point in time, we will adjourn this meeting at 11:11 a.m.